Thank you very much, Mike. It's a pleasure to see so many here, and I think we have almost standing room only. Are there any extra chairs anywhere?
We'll get them.
We have 3 more up front. You can pull those around to the side. Thank you for all your questions. Before we actually get started, I have a couple things I'd like to announce first. Please, if you would, put your telephones on silent and or turn them off, so that when we're in the middle of the evening that we won't be interrupted by phone calls. And now it's my pleasure to let us all rise, remove your covers, and we shall say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hoorah!
Okay, the first order of business, will all 3 candidates please come up to the front of the dais, please. Where's Skip? Yeah, here he comes. In order to make sure there are no questions about favoritism or who gets to sit in the middle, we have middle, left, and right on the papers.
This was mine?
Well, you said choose C. Okay, take your seats, gentlemen.
Which is last?
It doesn't make
Stage left or not?
So you just want to figure out.
There's water for all of you and pens and notepads if you wish to write something down.
We got a microphone in front of you. Microphones so you can have
Yes.
your
You can all reach your microphones fine? Good.
Yep.
Questions will only be taken written, so that in the event and during the evening, if something comes to mind that's a light bulb going off in your head and you think you really got to get it up here, please feel free. This is an informal vetting of our sheriff candidates that is very important, but we're here to have a good time also. So I want you to relax, have a good time. I'm trying to do the same. But just to let you know that we are, of course, on our best behavior. If you have any issues that you get real excited about, just let us know ahead of time and maybe we can deal with that. In the meantime, we will do our best to obviously have every candidate answer questions as best we can in order. So I'll just start off at the beginning and we'll go from there. Glasses would help. This is a question for all 3 candidates, please. What specifically is your plan to deal with illegal drug problems in our county, such as the meth, the heroin, and the prescription drugs, etc.? We can start with Skip.
Okay, thank you. Well, I've got a lot of plans.
Speak into the microphone.
Oh, okay, I've got a lot of plans. First of all, the citizens of Fremont County are going to be the major part of this program because they know what's going on in the community. Without the citizens' involvement, the Sheriff's Department cannot move forward. I've got a lot of good ideas. We're not going to tolerate it. We're going to start getting arrest warrants, search warrants, when we find potential drug dealers, and we're going to prosecute them to the maximum % of the law. And I'm going to give it to district attorney and make sure it's done. It's going to be a clean sweep operation. I call it draining, revamping the marsh. It's It's gonna get done, but it's gonna take the citizens of Fremont County and deputies that have been trained in illegal narcotics, search and seizure procedures to make sure it is done properly, where we don't fumble it and they get off free. And that's gonna be my plan, and it's gonna be one of my, I call it INET, Illegal Narcotics Elimination Team. And we're gonna do it. I've got the experience, the training, and the background. I've worked undercover narcotics. I've worked in narcotic apprehension. I know what it takes to get the job done, and I'm the candidate to do the job. Thank you.
Thank you, Skip.
I think one of the first things I'd like to do is see if we can.
Microphone.
Yeah,
Pull it up. Yeah, up a bit. There you go.
one of the first things I'd like to do is see if we can get,
Still can't hear you.
how's that?
Move the mic up a little bit.
Up a bit. There you go. Now try it.
Does that work?
Richard, if they take the mic out and use it, it's much better.
There you go.
How does that work?
Close up. You bet.
All right,
There you go.
I haven't done this before. One of the first things I'd like to do is see if we can reinstitute a countywide drug task force. I know we had that in the past, that was effective for us. I'd also like to work more closely with organizations like Safe Streets. I know we have one officer in that program now, and that's more than countywide, but it does have a definite impact on what happens here in Fremont County. I have talked to Sheriff Elder in El Paso County, because right now Fremont County does not have the resources if we're to go out and handle illegal marijuana grows. And with Sheriff Elder's help under mutual aid, he's agreed that he will give some assistance there, but mutual aid is not a one-way street, so we have to provide something for them in return. The other thing is DEA. We have a program through DEA where if we have doctors that are overprescribing pills, and they track that, and that's another thing that I would want to look at. But all of this doesn't bear any fruit if we don't get some convictions. And so one of the things that we need to do is work with the district attorney. I'd like to develop what I call a prolific offender program for those people that are committing the most egregious crimes in the drug arena. They need to have some stiff sentences handed down to them. And that's basically just a start.
Thank you, Alan. Candidate Canterbury.
Okay, can you hear? Okay. The illegal drugs, the hard drugs, the meth and the heroin, the pain pills and all of them. Again, we used to have a strike force. The strike force has kind of fell apart. I would get with all the agencies. I would pick and we would create our own task force back. We'd bring it to light again. We would try to get in with illegal grows. We would get in with federal agencies and, along with DEA. Wherever there's an illegal grow ran by cartel, there's probably hard drugs. Custer County just did an awesome job up there and did an illegal grow bust and with a bunch of cocaine. So, and they took that off the street. So where pretty much where the cartel is, the illegal grows are, there's going to be hard drugs. So I think that's where we'd start and unite together with all the agencies within the district. And I think we can get that done pretty much among ourselves with the federal help of coming in and helping us support it. And there's grants on that that we can get to help us bring money in. I think we need to look at some of our officers that and interview them and talk to them and see if your officers, if you got one officer that would like to work narcotics and that's what his goal is, why not help him get into that, because that's going to help our goal of getting the hard drugs off the street. So you talk to your own people, you try to get them in there, and then you go from there and build your strike force.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Moderator. Can we ask a question of an answer they gave, that any of the candidates gave? It makes no sense to have somebody make a comment and not ask a question on it. And you can tell me no, I understand.
Thank you, no.
Okay.
Candidate Cooper. What are your plans to recruit and retain new deputies?
Well, I wish I had a good one. I would like to get out and actually do some recruiting personally. I think there are some features that I would like to bring forth. Although in all honesty, retention and recruiting of law enforcement is a nationwide problem right now. Our best luck, when I've done this previously, has been to go to the junior colleges and actually recruit people from those colleges. The other thing that I'd like to do is we need a lateral entry program, because it's anytime that you have a young group of officers, they have to go through a learning process before you can actually turn them loose and let them operate on their own. That normally takes about 3 to 5 years. The benefit package needs to be a little more attractive if you're going to retain quality people, if you're going to bring them in, because I can tell you right now that law enforcement in this community, for the most part, come here, they get trained, and then they end up going to El Paso County, Fountain, Pueblo County, Douglas County. I'm probably going to lose one officer with my organization to either Denver or Las Vegas. That doesn't really answer the question, but it's not going to be easy to bring people in and keep them in the community unless we can address some of those underlying issues.
Thank you very much. Candidate Skip Moreau. Apparently, I don't know how much publicity there's been about this, but apparently there's some concern about gangs in the area of Fremont County concerning Florence and or Canyon City. Please be specific about what kinds of gangs that you are aware of and have experience with, such as the street gangs, young people, ruffians, etc., organized crime, and any organized, quote, control of business type crimes that you're aware of and that you plan on working on.
Well, crime is, there's always a chance to have, like the gangs of MS-13. I've heard that there's a couple already here in Canyon City, but they're not being active. I guess they kind of like on recruitment. They're kind of checking it out from what I've heard from some people out of Colorado Springs. But I don't see gangs are a big problem right here, right now, but as the drugs get worse, the stealing gets worse because of the drugs, I feel that we could very well be vulnerable to have gang problems, but I don't see a big problem. I run around all hours of the night, up and down the streets, just watching stuff, and I don't see a big problem with it. I believe it could be. I believe we could have a problem with it very easily. We're already getting an influx of a lot of people coming into Colorado because of the marijuana passing issue. And we've already seen a lot of theft in Colorado Springs, or Canyon City, because of the vehicle theft, the personal theft, break-ins. We've seen it. So I believe it's just a matter of time if we don't get a good grip on it and start a good enforcement and start cleaning up our county. And I don't believe, like I said, I don't believe we've got a big gang problem. I think we've got some kids that would like to be in gangs. You see them, I see them walking on the streets, 5 or 6 of them at a time. I don't see them being a big threat right now. But like I said, it is one of my concerns that if we don't get these drugs, illegal drugs, stopped, and the theft going on, and the fencing of stolen items that they're stealing from the community, I would say that I would see a problem coming pretty soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Skip.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes, sir.
Are you going to allow the audience at all to ask any questions in this forum tonight?
Well, the format had been in the past, and it was thought to be tonight that all questions would be written.
But I mean, ask a question of the we're going to ask a question of their answer, not giving them a new question per se, but asking a question of their answers. It makes no sense, again, to have an answer that's being given and not being able to ask on that answer.
Hear, hear.
This is a democracy. All in favor of being able to ask a question during the process, please raise your hand.
Aye.
All in favor? All opposed? Thank you very much. Motion carried. Is there a question for Skip for what he just answered?
Not a Skip right now.
Not at this moment. Okay.
Oh, I can't believe I answered it that good.
But we'll do
I didn't
that.
say answer it accurate, just no question.
Okay, this is a question that has come up before, and it's a serious question, actually. And of course, as everyone knows, a new sheriff that comes into office either is or needs to be post-certified. It requires 548 hours of minimum class certification studies, and it costs approximately $7,000. This is a question for all three candidates. Are you post-certified? And if not, how do you plan to handle the time and cost to become post-certified? And we'll start with Mr. Canterbury.
I'm certifiable. I would be able to go back through post. And when I went through the first time, it was called CLETA. And then it went to post. I've already contacted post. We will be recertified once we get back in if I win this election. And we go from there. I'm also scheduled already December 3rd to go through sheriff's school, which I think everybody probably got the letter, but that's for an 80-hour class before we even go into office. So yeah, I will be post-certified, and it's about a 30 or 45-day class instead of the actual post-certification because I'm recertifiable.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cooper.
I'm currently post-certified.
That was quick. Skip.
Yes, I am. I went through Colorado Law Enforcement Training Academy, which is the Academy for State Highway Patrol officers up in Camp George West in Golden. I have been talking to several schools to get in. The problem with it, I have to get an endorsement from a law enforcement agency. I've been working on this project for 12 months and talking to different law enforcement agencies, and none of them want to really endorse a candidate that's running for sheriff. So I will be able to go to re-get certified. It's not a problem. But under Colorado statute, just like to read this to you, 30-10-501-5, it's qualifications for sheriff. It says no person is eligible for nomination, election, or appointment to the office of sheriff unless the person is a citizen of the United States. I pass for that one, served my country in Vietnam. Is a citizen of the state of Colorado and is a resident of the county for which the person is to be appointed and possess a high school diploma or a GED and has completed a set of fingerprints. That is your requirement for being sheriff, for running for the sheriff, for the office of sheriff for Fremont County. I exceed those qualifications and I don't have a problem, and I plan on paying the $7,000 out of my own pocket. The citizens of this county should not have to pay that burden for me to be able to upgrade my training to a post-certification. So the laws have pretty much stayed the same. There's some new ones, there's some old ones been removed. But to answer to the question, as soon as I'm elected as your sheriff, I'm going to be signed up after January to be able to go and get post-certified.
Thank you very much, Skip. And thank you all three for timing your responses to be under 2 minutes. That was natural, and we really appreciate that, and that's how much you're going to have anyway, so I didn't have to interrupt you, so that's super.
Thank you.
Mr. Canterbury, do you have a plan for a SWAT team?
Well, we've already got a SWAT team. I think that, again, you get with your local jurisdictions, your Canyon PD, Florence PD, and you find out what their initial plan is, what it is, their policies, procedures, and you go from there. I don't know who all's on the SWAT team at this time, but yes, we would have our SWAT team. Instead of bringing them in from, Fifth Avenue, they brought them in from Colorado Springs, who found the SWAT team, and we had our own SWAT team. The mock thing, they brought them in from Kibble to go through training. We didn't have any of our own SWAT team up there during the training that I'm aware of. So we got to train them, we got to keep them trained, and we got to keep them sharp. And that takes all the entities with us to do that, to train them and keep these guys as sharp as they can be.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cooper, what is your plan, and are you aware of the evacuation plans for Canyon City and the area in case of some wildfire, flood, or natural disaster that would require evacuation?
Yes, we do have a municipal, what we call a emergency response plan that covers the evacuation route. We also have one that the county has, and I have worked in the past with Jill from County Emergency Management, and she has agreed to help me, especially in the area of wildland fire, because there needs to be a fire plan for the county, and I would look forward to working with her in that area.
Thank you very much. Skip, What are you going to do about the district attorney's office not enforcing what your future law enforcement officers are doing? No prosecutions of anything.
Oh, you got that right. Anyway, well, like I said, the district attorney, she is an elected official. So I see it basically going to fall on my shoulders to make sure the officers sit down with her and say, what do you want? How do you want your reports wrote? There's always a standard way to write reports and incidents that happen and on citations and stuff. So I need to get with her, find out what she wants, how she wants it, so she can't come back and say, well, this really is not prosecutable because the officer didn't give me all the information. So that's going to be a big concern of mine, to make sure that happens, that the officers are well trained and sit down with her and get it cut and dried, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, make sure that it's the way it's supposed to be. Now, the other question is, what am I going to do about it? Well, I can't do anything about it other than raise hell about it when she doesn't do what she's supposed to do. That all falls on you people's shoulders, that if we're not getting the response that we want and getting the prosecution and getting the maximum sentences, she needs to be replaced with somebody that's going to go in there and get the job done. And like I say, I'm not able to do it because she's an elected official, but you people can do it, and you will be advised anything that goes wrong that we don't get a good prosecution on. You'll be reading about it on the internet and the front page of the paper, explaining what's going wrong and why we're not getting what we need out of our district attorney. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Boyd, would you like to comment on that?
I would. You got to remember the maximum sentence is done by the judges, not the DAs. We do our job, our deputies will do their job, and let me tell you, they work hard out there. And when I met with the DA, and she explained to me, she told me that some of the reports wasn't that well, they didn't have the elements in it. I have not seen the reports, but I know that our deputies go through a report writing class, and probably several throughout their career here so far. So I would get with her and I'd say, okay, let's look at your reports, let's see what you want in your reports, and then I can take that back to the sheriff's department, get with our deputies, and say, okay, this is what the DA wants. Without her corresponding with us, our deputies don't know what she wants. And again, you got to remember that she is one busy office, under budget, and so she's got to do and what she feels is best for the cases that come in, which is wrong because our guys put their lives on the line to put them in jail to do the crime, and then they get a plea bargain down to nothing. So it's not just all the report writing, it's a little bit of her and the busyness and the under budget and that sort of thing. It all comes together, totally together in that office. But so I think our deputies would play a huge role into this with the DA if she would come over and just explain to us and be prepared, because I don't think some of our deputies would. I mean, they can write reports. I know they can. So, but she's got to come over and say, okay, this is what we need. We need to put the A, B, and C in there and go that route. But the communication with the DA's office has got to go a long ways. So yes.
Thank you very much, Boyd. Mr. Cooper.
I taught report writing for the police academy. I've taught it for our officers in their mini academy, and so the biggest factor that I've seen with the district attorney when there's been communication is the lack of the essential elements of the crimes. That falls directly on the shoulders of supervisors. That's one of the jobs our supervisors have, is to review those reports and make sure they have the essential elements of the crime in that report. But I think the biggest issue that I've seen with the district attorney's office is they want all of the paperwork up front. We have a system called e-discovery that is supposed to transmit that information between the two offices. It's an electronic system and it has its issues. This morning we had a case on a low-level felony that we had entered all the material into the e-discovery. We transmitted everything that we had to the district attorney's office. The district attorney had made a filing decision and a supplemental report that a second officer had generated had not gone to the district attorney that had critical information for that case. That's not a fault of the district attorney's office, it's not a fault of our agency, it is a fault with the way the system is run, and there's no easy answer on how to fix that. One of the other issues that we have is there has to be communication between the district attorney and all law enforcement on exactly what they want to see in their cases, and if we're deficient, that needs to be communicated to someone in a position of authority that can make that change within that office or that agency. One of the other issues with reports and filing of charges is not everybody that's arrested needs the maximum charge. Everybody makes a mistake, everybody can get a ticket, they don't need the book thrown at them. I don't have an issue with that, and I don't have an issue with the plea agreements that the district attorney sets up for the most part. But when we get a prolific offender that's before that district attorney with 8 or 9 pending cases,
Thank you.
something needs to happen.
Thank you very much. Skip.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
Are any of you willing to support a recall of the district attorney? Yes or no?
You're asking candidates that question before the election?
My question, simple, yes or no?
I would.
Skip.
I would also.
Wait.
I probably would too. I'm just trying to get through the election for the next 27 days.
Great question.
I'd like to ask
Glad
a
you didn't
follow-up
ask me that.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
It's-
Please stand.
It's for Skip, but it's really for all of the candidates. You mentioned about better communication and whatnot, and I'd like to know what the plan is to communicate better, not only with the public as the sheriff's office. Under Sheriff Richards has been doing a great job recently in doing that. I really respect and appreciate her position and what she's done, but I think there's got to be more communication with the public about what's going on, even on unsolved cases, you know, because when we're sitting out here wondering, well, what the heck's up with that? And then also, how are you going to promote interagency communication and working together and having it be that even though it's individual, Florence, Canyon, SO, how are you going to make that a cohesive unit? Because we need to have communication. We're only 10 miles apart. Thank you.
Was that for Skip?
All three.
All three? All three. Skip, you can start.
Well, that's where my citizens program comes into play too. Because the citizens, once a month, will have a meeting and we'll discuss some of the stuff that's going on, some of the crimes that where we're at with them, and divulge information that can be released. Now, some of it cannot be because it would interfere with the investigation. But I plan on having a web portal. I believe Sheriff's got one now, but it's kind of vague. I want a better one that you can log on to it, find out information on cases, things that have happened in the county, and see what's being done with them. Right now, you're kind of in the dark. And as far as the unsolved cases, I plan on opening them all up and going in here and working 140% to try to get these homicides solved. And a lot of these cases that are just getting little ones or whatever, they're still important. It's your personal stuff that gets stolen. It's important to everyone, no matter if it's a big case or a small case. And so by having my portal, you'll be able to interact with the officer also. And he can update you personally. It won't be all over the internet. It'll be just from your information, your portal, your computer, back and forth. So there's a lot of communications that need to be open. And the interactive with other communities, I believe that's pretty much a must too, because I have to be able to cooperate with the Florence Police Department, the Canyon City Police Department, because if something gets stolen in the county and gets not reported to the chief or the chief of Canyon City, we've got something that fell through the cracks. So we need to lock them all together so the county, all the cities communicate together, even as far as Pueblo and Colorado Springs. I'm going to try and get information together, because I got a feeling that most of the stuff being stolen in this county is being shipped to Pueblo or Colorado Springs. So,
Thank you, Skip.
thank you.
You bet. Boyd.
Communication. The public themselves is the greatest asset to the Sheriff's Department. The Sheriff's Department needs the public as much as the public needs the Sheriff's Department. We work together with community involvement. We would have a program put together, and we would work with that program in each unincorporated area And then, at one time, there was a program that was called CERT. All the agencies was together. Now, that program, and they'd work, so many detectives within that program. And I don't know how many detectives was there, and I don't know what happened to CERT. But that was the building down on, I believe, South 9th Street across from the car wash. And I'm not sure what happened to it. That finally got closed down, and now the county has theirs up on Macon, and I think the PD has theirs at the PD. And so that was a really, I thought,